Hi, my name is Ken Lasseson. I wrote the Microbiome prescription website and support it for a couple of years now. And I recently, because of a couple of interactions with some users, implemented a new feature which is basically designed for people wishing to do research or people wishing to learn data science. And basically, once you have logged in, as I have, you will notice up here in the address line, it says researcher, if you can read it. And then it comes down to researchers pages, which is actually just a single page. And in it, it will give you a bunch of different samples and there, so you basically pick what you want and go from there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select samples as an example. We could go and select autism as an official diagnosis. And in fact, I'll do that. And it now gives me a download, which is right there. So I'm going to download, save it, and now I'm going to open this file to show you what is in it specifically. And there we have the file. And this is the file content. So you see sample ID and then all of the things. So I'm going to just cut a few of these. I could do all of them, but the more samples I have, the longer the downloads are. And let's go back and go back. So now all I'm going to do is something very simple. I'm just going to go and paste the samples I'm interested in. Now, if you are doing a study with a bunch of people and they upload it and you get their sample IDs, then you can have a well-vetted set of samples to work from. These are by self-declarations, people who have autism, etc. Now, you have a whole bunch of choices. One of the first things you may want to do is see what labs are processed through. In case you want to subset, you could take this list, the next list, and merge them together or filter one by the other. And let's go and take a look at this one. And again, it comes back and says labs. And I'm going to go down here and I'm going to open it. And there it is. So it gives the name of the lab and the source. And between the two fields, it's being done by a tab. And that's because some of the fields we are working with happens to have commas in it, unfortunately. So the safest choice is to use a tab delimiter. So all these are from new biome days, ancient times. But it will be whatever labs are processed. We can go up and now say, okay, I want a taxonomy. So you just again click download, save, open, and here we have the sample ID. Next column over is the taxon number using NCBI numbers. Then is the count normal, how many were reported, and then the percentile ranking of that particular bacteria. The percentile is against the entire population of people I have. If you want to do percentile ranking of your sample, of course, you can just take the raw numbers and percentiles them. And you may want to do that and compare your sample percentiles to the population percentiles and see if there's a shift or significant shift with them. That's one simple way of handling it, or looking at the counts, etc. So that's basically gives you your taxonomy of bacteria, and you can start hunting for things, particularly odd shifts. Percentiles can be useful because linear values with bacteria are not that useful because things aren't bell curves or things aren't linear. They are a particularly odd shape, and the percentiles is a better representation. Now, if we want enzymes, we have right here, and we can just go and click download. Same thing happens as before, and I'll open it. And here we have it. Now, here we have the first thing most people say, okay, wait a minute, what is this Greek? What is this number here? Well, that's a KEGG ID number, and it's easy to find what it is, and I don't intend to be using lots of download bandwidth, putting same string hundreds of times in it. So you just go over to site. Let me go and bring that down so you can see it. Site KJ, and now I'm going to just type in that magic thing, and voila, there we have. There's the enzyme, and as you can see, it has half a dozen names, classes, etc., etc. So you can go and see if there is a pattern on particular enzymes or the pattern. Then you can go back and find out what in the world the name is. So in other words, you are operating blind, which is some cases can be good, so you're not prone to having bias towards a particular model, because by using the IDs, what particular enzymes are involved stays hidden until you're ready to look them up, and the information is there and gives you rich information. And again, with multiple names, which names should I use? Everybody will have a different spin, and I try to avoid controversy. Here's the name of the enzyme. Similarly with taxons, I give you a taxon number. You can go over to NCBI database and find out what name or names there are there. In some cases, there are 24 different names of the same bacteria, but there's only one NCBI identifier number for that. So in which case, okay, I avoid getting into what I don't like, which is what is the correct name battle. I don't care. Call it what you want. Here's the identifier, and you work from the identifier. Now, if you go to K compounds and download, same thing. And we do open. And voila, we again have these mysterious, what in the world is that? So I go over, and as I did before, I'm going to go back and do a site search on K. And voila, there it is. There's compound. Wasn't that easy? And there it is. And you can go in and get all the other bits of information you want, because you basically have opened a Pandora box of information, which probably will overwhelm many people. Some people it won't. Similar, we go to K modular. Same process, nice and simple. And this one I'm going to be changing. I've done it this way for the first cut, but if I go back to up here, what I'm going to be changing this one over is the modular number. There's M0001, etc. Again, it makes it actually easier to be able to be absolutely precise in what we are talking about. Again, there can be variations of naming from one academic group to the other, and I just don't want to get caught in that type of arguments. Okay, so that's now cake products. Same thing. And the same thing is here, and I'm going to go and just go over and see if I can do it. I think I do have the right, I have an ID. Oops. Right there. And there we have it. As there's a couple of references to it. I believe it's well, I think it's a C number there. So it's similar to the one above it. Again here, end products doesn't have a cross the board references, and it also the most ad hoc data collection, because it comes from reading studies and saying, oh, this produces that, this produces that. Do you have all the studies reviewed? Probably not. Some, I know, alternative labs will do 2 or 3 of them, and I have gone and said, oh, you have low one. Okay, what bacteria is? Oh, wait a minute, you have only one bacteria producing the something like serotonin or whatever, or 2 or 3, but I have a list of 15 of them, in which case one of us has probably done more due diligence than the others. Okay, so let's look at the end products. Again, there we go. Here's the end products. There's no magic universal name for what it is, and we have the estimate, and the estimate is, for those of you who don't remember from earlier on, it's basically a sum up of all the bacteria that produces this particular end product with some scaling factor. Some cases, I believe, I actually make use of a log, but it's a relatively scaling of it. Medical bacteria from Universal, from PubMed. Again, no magic thing, no ICD-12 codes, just plain English names or semi-plain English names. And there we go, acne, allergies, etc. And then it gives the number of matches and gives a percentile. So again, number of matches is a function of how far away you are from high values. It's sort of trying to deal with the awkwardness of the studies generally reporting that the control group versus with the condition group has a higher average of just value that one. And what do you mean by higher average? That's hard to say. In theory, what it would mean is you have more of them above the average value with the condition than you have below it than in the general population. So you could work from the percentile here and verify if that's the case or not. Again, the studies are not easy to adapt to because they simply says control group versus study group, the average is statistically significantly and it's higher or it's lower. Doesn't mean they're all the extreme value, it just means they're higher, which could be a little bit or a lot. Okay, and that's it. I've done full cycle. I've got a couple of them which I'm going to be revising, and the ones which are revised, the ID numbers, are going to be replaced instead of the verbiage, simply because it makes the download smaller, also makes it easier to match up, and also it adds improved clarity to the downloads. So that's it, straightforward. If you're interested in doing it, then basically drop me an email at research@microsoftprescription.com, explain your background, what you're trying to do, etc. And if I don't see a problem with it, I will go and set you up here. We have at the moment 282 things. All of these are ones with 20 or more samples associated with it, like irritable bowel. And if you're interested in combining them, download each one, join them, and find out which samples are uncommon for both of them, and then just take those samples and paste them here, and away you go. So you then have as convoluted intersections or unions of the symptoms reported as you care to. And remember, if you haven't annotated your sample with your symptoms, please do so, because that is how this comes about, is from people actually going out and doing so. So thanks again. Have a good weekend or whatever, and enjoy. Oh, I should say, you could take all the data and import it into Excel and do charting, cross tabulations, pivot tables to your heart's content in Excel if you feel like it. You could use R, you could use any one of the data sciences or statistical analysis tools you happen to have available, and there are a lot of them. I don't intend to teach you how to make use of it. My goal is to make the data available so that you can explore with whatever skill sets you have aptitude with to do it, or if you are just learning data science, it gives you something interesting to work from, which is real life data. Okay,